Hi everyone, how are you doing? Welcome to episode 52 of the More in You podcast. I'm so excited. I don't even know where to start, but I am just so excited. Guess what? The person I have today, the guest I have, is I don't even know what to say about her, but you know what? She actually started me off on this journey of podcasting. We call her the podcast queen. And I'm going to unveil her name to you. Are you ready? Let's have a drum roll. In your home, just have a drum roll. You have to bear with me today. I'm so excited. We're talking about the power of podcasting. But guess what? Are you ready? Yes. My guest today is Tonbra Nwosuagwu.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited right now because when I think back of how this started, I remember it was July last year, when we got into all of this. And I remember before that I had said, okay, Tonbra, I want to join your podcasting class. And we eventually did this in July. And then when you told us we had to, create the intro, the outro videos, I still remember. I remember sitting there and thinking, do I really want to do this? As I got ready for this, actually, the memories came back, and I'm thinking, wow. And a year has actually gone by. And I thought to myself,
Wow.
who else am I going to bring for this week? I
Praise
have to
God.
bring Tonbra because she's really started me off on this journey. And it's been so many lessons learned. And so today, I want to ask you, viewers, if you're watching on YouTube, get a friend and you know what? Let them listen to this podcast because we're going to be talking about the power of podcasting. If you are an influencer and you don't have a podcast, this episode is for you.
Mhm.
you're going you're going to glean. But I want to read her bio. I'm going to read a little bit of her bio so you kind of get a glimpse, get an idea of who Tombra is. Are we ready? So she's a woman with a strong sense of responsibility to elevate people. Tonbra Nwosuagwu is a transformational coach who loves to nurture and help others see life through a completely new lens that gives them personal power. She's known as the activator. Tonbra is also the founder of the More Collective. It's a catalytic community of women intentional about personal growth and inner fulfillment. Her relentless desire to help people accept themselves and rise to their full potential is fueled by her experience of childhood adversity, which she overcame. Her strong sense of responsibility towards this cause has led her to birth several initiatives. This include her Identity Mastery Program, IMAP, her Voyage to Growth Accountability Program, and her recently launched Amazon best-selling book, How to Be Unstoppable. Give
Yeah.
it up for Cobra. Thank you so much once again for being here. I didn't want to read the rest of the bio, there's so much, but I wanted people to just kind of get an idea of who you are. Sometimes we see people and we don't really get a feel of who they really are. So I'm just
Mhm.
going to ask you now, I've read that bio. Informally, who do you say Tombra is?
Oh my goodness, I love it. First and foremost, I want to just say again just how much of an honor it is to be here. When I think about just how much what you have done with just the seed, because what I sowed was a seed,
Yeah.
right? I sowed a seed in your heart about this, and what you have done with this seed, how diligent you have been with just cultivating, nurturing, putting your all into it, ensuring it multiplies. It's just so beautiful. And I just want to appreciate you on behalf of the entire community of people who consume the great impact that you put out consistently on a weekly basis. I just want to say thank you. I honor you. And I'm just so grateful to be in the same, world as you. Thank you.
Oh, thanks so much. I gotta get my tissue so I don't start crying.
No,
Thank you so
no.
much. Oh my
No. I just had to start there. But from an introduction perspective, I think there's just one word. Every time I'm asked this question, just introduce yourself. There's only one word that ever comes to mind when I think about who I am in totality, and the word is teacher. I think at the heart of me, at the core of my being, in my DNA, there's an encodement, and everything speaks to teaching. It's teaching with my life, teaching with my words, it's teaching with my actions, it's teaching with my intentions, it's
Wow.
teaching with my impact, it's teaching with every single thing that I do. My life is all about, pouring into others and breaking concepts that seem very difficult into easily digestible formats so that it can change their lives. I am an activator. And I own
Hmm.
that title with pride
Wow.
because that is the essence of me. I
Hmm.
teach to activate the greatness on the inside of every single person.
Wow.
And I own it unapologetically.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. Wow. And actually, I agree with you because just before we came on live, I was just sharing with you the impact of we're talking about our podcasting class and people that you've been able to teach over the last over a year. You've been doing it, I would say 2 years, and the
Mhm.
people that you've been able to train. A lot of us are still podcasting today,
Yes,
and I
yes.
said, really, for me, I think it's because of the way you teach
Oh, thank
podcasting
you.
that is so powerful that makes us actually
Thank
want to
you.
do it. Because
Thank
sometimes you go to
you.
a class and you're like, okay, I got it. I paid for it. Fine, I've done the class. Okay, and then just put it aside. I really
Mm,
do agree with you. You are a teacher at heart.
thank you.
I'm then going to ask you, you're going to share two fun facts about you that we don't know.
Okay.
What would they be?
One is when I was 5 years old, I wanted to be a supermodel.
Oh, no.
Yes, I used to strut down the house, in my mom's high heels, and I just used to strut and just fancy myself as a supermodel. But I didn't get the height to go with the desire, so
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 that
that
was
didn't
thrown out of the
happen.
window.
The other fun fact is my happiest place in the whole wide world is actually in water parks. So myself and my
Wow.
family, we are water
Wow.
parks people. Would you
Okay.
believe that? We've
Wow.
actually traveled to a country before
Just
just
for the water
to
park.
go to a
Wow.
water park. We went to Tenerife and we're going to Siam Park.
Oh, I've been to Tenerife as well.
Yeah, we literally looked at
Wow.
Googled where in the world has the best water parks, and
Wow.
Siam Park came out as number one, and we traveled to Tenerife just to go to
Wow.
Siam Park. Yeah, but we found that the number two, which we had also been to in Bali, was better than number one.
Wow. Wow. That's really interesting. That
Yeah.
you, your husband, your children, everybody's a water park person.
We love
Wow.
it. We like to go on the family rides, and
Oh,
we
that's
just we
great. And
spend the
just have
whole day.
fun.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. I love that. Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing that. So we're
Mm.
getting into our topic, the power of podcasting. And I'm going to ask you, because you don't just you're also a podcaster, but you don't just podcast, you teach other people how to do it. What
Mm.
started you off on this journey of wanting to teach people how to podcast?
So I will surprise you. I never had a desire,
Hmm.
anything to teach people how to do this podcasting. But the truth is that when you're a teacher, I think the gift just comes out
Hmm.
whether or not you desire it to. I,
Wow.
I had no idea. So I'll tell you a very funny story. My friend Bralade was actually podcasting before me, and she got me to start my podcast. She just kept saying you should have a podcast, and I didn't really see I didn't understand what it was. I didn't see the benefit, but as she always does, she I'm strong. She just you should do it, you should do it, you should do it. You should do it. So one day I said, okay, I'm going to start a podcast, which I started, which was called the Unscathed Life podcast at the time. And I'll tell you this. the day I dropped the podcast, so I'd been announcing I'm going to drop my episode one. It's coming out on this day. It was the 17th of September. I still remember the date. That was
Wow.
17th of September, 2020. 2020 was my first episode.
Wow.
I said I was going to drop it, and I dropped it. And on Instagram, someone reached out to me. So the episode was probably my very first episode. Was like 13 minutes long, and to me, it was so
The
long.
longest.
It was a solo, and I was shaking. And I thought, this is so long. I can't do this. Anyway, it was 13 minutes, 30-minute episode, and I dropped this episode. And after maybe 5 or 6 minutes after the episode had been published, after I'd published on Instagram that this episode was up here, somebody reached out to me, one of my friends from our, Speak for Gold community. She reached out to me and she said, "Hey, Tonbra, I've just been listening to your podcast." I said, "Well, you couldn't have finished it because it's 30 minutes and this is like 7 minutes in." He said, "No, I haven't finished it, but I just want to let you know that it was so good and I want to celebrate you. And I want you to, I need you to help me start my own podcast as well." So 7 minutes into the start of my own podcast journey, I get asked by somebody to teach her how to do what I did. So I
Wow.
get on my computer and I was showing her, "This is what you do, this is how you do it, blah, 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 blah." So I helped her. I said, "Okay, this is, this is everything you need, blah, blah, blah. Don't worry, we can do this together." And I left it. I didn't think anything of it. I went into a class, Speak for Gold class, and everything. I was speaking about how, I just started my podcast, and then I just gave like a little testimony, how they do in the
Yeah.
beginning. I just started my podcast, and everybody said it was fun. Da, 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 da. Then towards the end of the class, somebody came up and was talking about how, she needs a platform, she needs to do da, 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 da. And next thing, everybody turns around and says, "Oh yeah, there's someone who teaches podcasts here." I was like, "Who said anything about teaching?"
Who he was talking about?
I was just testifying. I just say, "Yeah, she can teach you. Get in touch with Tonbra. She'll
Wow.
teach you." So I thought, okay, all right. So next thing, I go on Instagram, and then I say to her in the class, "Okay, no problem, I'll teach you." I go on Instagram. Before I go on Instagram, I had about 10 DMs of people DMing me
Wow.
saying, "Oh, I would love to learn as well. I would love to learn as well. I would love to learn as well." So I said, okay. So I put together, I said, okay, I'm not a teacher or anything, but I'll just do a podcast masterclass, just 1 hour class, just to give people an overview because I
Yeah.
didn't want to speak to different people at the same time. Just a 1 hour master, this thing. I set up this thing, I put it out, and I said, "Hey guys, anyone who wants to learn, I can't teach you individually. Everyone just come to this class and I will teach you." Guess how many people registered for the class? 44 people.
Wow.
I'm like, what's
You're
going
like,
on
what's
here?
going on?
So I turned up to class. I told people, and then people after the class, people were like, "Well, how are we going to do? We need you to teach us further."
Yeah.
I said, "Okay, if you want, I will have to I have to create a program to
Wow.
teach you because I wasn't really prepared for it." So we said, "Okay, no problem." Next thing, someone paid. I'll do a one-to-one. So I started doing one-to-ones first.
Oh.
And I thought, this is taking a long time.
No,
Let's do
that's gonna take
one-to-one.
forever.
Yes. So that's when I started the boot camps. So I ran
Hmm.
8 boot camps back to back to back to back. And I had people in each boot
Wow.
camp consecutively.
Wow.
It's crazy. So that was how the teaching thing was pulled out. I think maybe God just knew that there was so many people who needed it, and it came out. So what was interesting was the person who had even been podcasting longer than me, I ended up being the teacher.
Teacher. Wow.
Yes.
That is so powerful. Wow. And sometimes people just look at podcasting because I think for some people as well, they don't really know what is the hype about podcasting. Why do people talk about it? I want us to kind of talk about what is the big deal about podcasting? What are the benefits? Why do I need a podcast if I have a YouTube channel already? Do I really need to podcast? Like,
So one of the things I always say is that every single person needs a podcast. And I say that without even mincing words. If you're listening to me and you don't have a podcast, you should have a podcast because you should have a platform of your own.
Mm.
right? This is not waiting for someone to create somewhere for you to go. This is you owning a platform that allows you speak on the matters and the things that have been deposited in your heart. No matter what, if I go and I speak on someone's platform, they will curate what I need to speak on.
Mm.
However, if it's my platform, I
Mm.
will speak on the matters that are core to me,
Yeah.
right? And in this age, right, of where the whole world is this massive, in this age of digitization and
Yeah.
globalization and internet, I mean, it's so costly not to take full advantage
Mm.
of how widely we can reach people,
Yeah.
right? And podcasting is at the
Right.
forefront of this, right? So you need a podcast for a number of reasons. One first reason, first of all, is to hone your own voice, right? And I'm
Mm.
speaking to anybody. I'm not speaking to coaches. I'm speaking to medical doctors. I'm speaking to, people who are doing normal professions. There is
Mm.
something that is unique to you, that you have within you, that you can teach other people,
People.
right? It helps you develop that core message, and helps you hone your voice. It helps you develop a catalog, a library of content that is unique to your message,
Mm.
right? See, content is king.
Yes, it is.
You must have heard this.
Yeah.
Content is an asset now that appreciates.
Hmm.
Other assets may depreciate. If you buy a car, the minute you drive the car out of the showroom, 25%, this is, this in these worlds that we're living in, 25% of the value of that
It's
car
gone
has gone.
already.
It's
Yeah.
depreciated already. But content is the one asset that will keep going up
Mm.
because of its reusability.
Mm. Wow. Wow.
Content is can be used in multiple ways over and over and over on different platforms, and it pays you back in the future. So your content on a podcast is a book.
Yeah.
You can repurpose it into a
Mm.
book. Your content on a podcast, you can put on a YouTube channel. Your content on your podcast, you can put in social media. You can put in an Instagram. You can put this content on a podcast is a blog that you can put out there. Content on a podcast is now the thing that it becomes your social what's this word? I'm looking for this word. It's a means of social exchange,
Mm. Wow.
right? When somebody is looking for what is Olo Olabode stand for, people
Hmm.
go to Google. What are they searching for in Google?
Hmm.
Is content about you.
Content. Wow.
And podcasting
Actually,
is at
you're
the
so right.
forefront of the content about you. Yes.
The episode I had with you, I don't know what I was searching for the other day. I was searching for it completely different, but I think it had to do with the topic that we spoke about, which I can't even remember. But guess what he brought up? He brought up that episode that I had with you, and I was like, seriously, like I wasn't even looking for it.
That's it. That's it. So, and this is the thing, there's so many people that are not maximizing the full benefits
Yeah.
that we have available through these channels that we now have, i.e., podcasting and blogging and whatever. We're not maximizing. You're going to work every day, you're focusing
Hmm.
on your job, and you're just
Wow.
being so narrow minded and insular focused. Meanwhile, if you think about it from a well rounded perspective, there is so much more that you can do. So, the benefits I've just explained are just one dimensional, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just talk about podcast as content.
Hmm.
Let's talk about what podcast does for you from collaboration. That's another
That's
stream.
another thing. Hmm.
That's another stream that is that I mean the currency that transacts in is just it's so superior.
It is.
The amount of people that you are able to go to and say, "Hey, I would love to have you on my podcast." That's a different. If I say, "Oh, I want to be," I would just want to chat with you. Well, chat with me for what? I don't have time for that. Chat with me about what? But if you said, "Hey, I want to invite you on my podcast to have a
Oh.
conversation," I'm going to look at you twice. You
Hmm.
best believe I'm going to go and
Yeah.
check your podcast. Maybe the decision might be, do I want to be on your podcast or not? But
Mhm.
you best believe if you come and proposition me to come on your podcast, I'm going to go and have a look at it
Hmm.
because it demands respect. It says that you're serious about yourself. It says that you're serious about your message. It says that you're serious about your personal brand.
Wow.
It says that you are a person that needs to be taken seriously.
Wow. Wow.
So
Wow.
what a podcast is, um it's like a digital business card.
Hmm.
It's like a
Times
digital
have changed. So we
times
can
have changed.
our podcast can be a digital business card.
It's
Hmm.
your digital business card. It's your digital resume that goes in detail. I've heard of somebody who was hired because he had a podcast.
Wow.
Yes. The interview was down to two people, and the hiring manager said, "Why should I hire you instead of the other person?" He said, "You hire me, sir. I have a podcast. This is the name of my podcast, and I've been discussing with two different people, and we talk on these matters." Instantly, they picked up. They said, "Yes, you
Mhm.
stand head and shoulders above. You're serious."
And that speaks of consistency,
Speaks to
resilience, and
consistency, it speaks to diligence, it speaks
yeah.
to resilience, it speaks to collaboration, being a team player, it
Exactly.
speaks to
Hmm.
thought leadership,
Mhm.
it speaks to so many things.
Wow. 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 Somebody listening now might be asking, well, how easy is it to start a podcast? Because that's another question that someone asked me a while back. And I'm like, okay.
I always say, look, as with everything, if you think about if you try and overwhelm yourself with the first 1,000 steps, you will never start.
Mm, yeah.
So you start with what is in front of you, right? You start small. And these are some things that I shared in the boot camp, if you remember.
Yes.
You know
Yes.
what? It's about starting small. It's about understanding why you're doing it. A lot of the work I do in the boot camps is more mindset. You know, the
Oh, yes.
beginning part is a lot of it is more mindset.
Do you know when I first started? I remember a couple of times I would have to tell myself because something that you used to say so much, and I found myself actually using it for. I tell other people. I would
Mm,
tell them that it's message over
voice.
voice. It's message over voice, and they'll be like, "What does that message?" Think of your message. Even in my writing book, I tell people,
Mm,
forget how big the book is, and just think of the message.
message.
I got
Think
that
over
from
the
you because I
yes.
have to keep on telling myself. Sometimes I'm
Mm,
like, I don't really have a lot to talk about, and I'll be like, but do I have
message
a
over
message
voice.
to pass
Yes.
across?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
really, it is a mindset thing.
It's a mindset thing. And exactly as you say there, when you ask this question about how easy, it's message over voice.
Yeah.
And when I say voice, I talk about voice is all of the stuff, the paraphernalia, all of the stuff around the actual message.
Yeah.
You must understand that your message is what holds the power. Your message is what, is what has ensured your preserve on earth.
Hmm.
It is what made a way for you to come through, and it is what has kept you here. So you must honor that message. You must honor it, and you must not allow the world and all of this. Oh, the sound is not perfect. I don't have a perfect mic. I don't have the perfect backdrop and all of that.
Yeah.
No. The man who is very thirsty only wants water. If you read the man who
I
is
love that.
parched and is in the middle of the Sahara Desert. Or if you say war, you don't even have to say water to the end.
He
I have
grabs it.
war. He grabs it. He's not going to ask you, but what about, was it filtered via, was it from a lake, or was it from a stream, or is this spring water? Is it still, is it sparkling? They're not going to ask you all that question. What they need in that moment and they are dying for is that thing that will sustain them. That is what your word is. That is what your message is. It's beyond perfection.
Yeah.
So see the other person who is at the other end, who needs that message. When you see that person, you will start to walk on, even on water, towards that person.
You are so right, Tonbra. You are so right, because I remember this is episode, but I remember there were some days where I felt like, do I really want to do this? Like, am I really up to this? Do I have anything to share? But what you just said now was that, you know what, it's not really about you.
It's not
It's
about you.
about, you have a message to the world. Somebody needs to hear what you have to say. And every time I remember, there was something that MD Felado used to share a while back, and I remember he used to say that often we worry about what we have that is not perfect, but someone somewhere is saying, I don't even need up to half of what you want to perfect. I just need like half of it, and I'm good enough.
Yes.
So sometimes they won't just say, okay, I'm going to agree to just take my message to the world. And that is what podcasting does, because I find out as the more you podcast, it does, I want to use that word. We're talking about it's growing you. I want us to kind of look at that as well. The power that growth that podcasting brings to us as a person. The
Oh
growth.
my gosh.
Let's
It
kind of
grows you as a person. It
yeah.
grows your competence. It grows your just your confidence and just overall ability to communicate. And in this world, if you cannot communicate, I mean, you can't do anything. So the transferable skills you get from being a podcaster, I feel that they're infinite, and they cut across sectors. Whether you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, you're an artist, you're a banker, whatever it is, you'll find that the benefits of the you podcasting will be of benefit and will be of service in whichever sector or industry that you are, because you're a more gifted communicator.
Yeah.
Like I was just referring to my first episode. If you go and listen to my first episode, in fact, I laugh.
What are you
I
gonna
laugh. I laugh in tongues.
say?
I laugh in tongues when I listen to my first episode. It's great, like shaking. In fact, I wrote everything down that I was going to say, and I was reading it like this. Um,
But
it's
you know the interesting thing, people still got the message out of somebody
people
still
say,
listened to
yes,
7 minutes and could
yes,
send you a DM. They
yes.
got the
People still
message.
got the message
Yeah.
out of it. So sometimes we just need to get out of the way so that God will do what He wants to do. It
Yeah.
really isn't about. And I found, I think, to the example that what you said earlier around some days where you just feel like you have nothing. I'm in seasons like that all the time. I find that almost perpetually. It's easier for me, particularly episodes where I'm speaking on my own. I find it
Yeah.
harder. But in episodes when I'm being interviewed, or I'm interviewing others,
Yeah.
it's much easier.
Same
But
here.
I find that even in episodes where I feel there is nothing, there's some times where all I want to do is to I just need somebody to, me speak to someone. No, I just need someone to speak to me and pour into me. I'm empty.
Mm.
When I come, I find a way and I just deliver something. You will still see the minute you open your mouth, something will come out that will be of value. Somebody will say, oh my God, this was so powerful. This
Mm-hmm.
blessed me so much. Half of the conversation, half of the words that come out of our mouth, let me tell you, human beings are so selfish. They only take what they need.
Mm.
Nobody is going to remember, or the people who listen to this podcast are not going to remember everything I say.
It's
They're not
just
going to
what
remember
you
everything.
need.
They'll just take what they need.
Mm.
So just say what you will say. It will be like the miracle of the 5 loaves of bread and two fishes. It will break that one small bread, 5 loaves.
Mm.
It will break into so many pieces, and people will take what they need and leave the rest.
Wow. Wow. Wow, that is key. So somebody's saying, "Oh, I wanted to start a podcast, but I'm thinking, no." Now let's talk about the challenges of podcasting.
Ah, the challenges
Are there
are
any challenges?
real. There are challenges. One of the things I always want to say, I always say to people is you've got to, you know, think about how you start. Think about the kind of podcaster you want to be. Do you want to be a consistent podcast, which is what I always say? Remember, I used to always say, if you are not consistent, don't tell anybody that you trained
But
with
you
me
have a podcast. Like,
or that I was involved with
you
you.
were
I don't
involved
even
in.
know you. If you see me on Instagram, don't like my pictures.
So that they don't associate us with you.
I
Like,
don't want any link because they say, oh, this one has a podcast. Maybe they know each other. I don't want
mm,
any link with you.
mm,
So I always and I say this in jest, obviously, but
yeah,
it's to shed it's to paint an important picture, which is it's a commitment.
yeah,
If you decide to go on this journey of podcasting, it's a commitment because remember what we talked about. It's message over voice. So that means there's a pool of people that have been programmed, have been scheduled by heaven to collect this bread. It's like daily manna.
mm,
So when you think about it from that perspective, the day that you say, you know what, I've decided
mm,
I'm no longer interested, somebody is starving.
yeah,
Somebody is not going to get their daily bread for that day, right?
mm,
And remember also that I said, and sorry, I think this is very important. It's an asset.
yeah,
So what this means is that it is something that you put somewhere that is like an investment
is appreciating.
and appreciates. And what that means is that you might put this content out there today, nobody sees it,
Mm,
but you come back in 5 years,
mm,
you find that there's interest, it has compounded, it has this, and all of a sudden you have 10,000 people who have consumed that content.
mm,
So the reason why you must be consistent about it is that first of all, you think about the other people at the other end. You're building a tribe of people. And if you're building a tribe, you have to see yourself as a tribe leader. You
mm,
have to see yourself as a father and as a mother of this herd of people that you don't see, who are waiting on your word
well, I
to be
love
able to
that.
do what they need to do, right? So if you see yourself as that, you would now, it's not easier for you to look at the challenges. So what are the challenges? The biggest challenge in podcasting is that life happens.
Yeah,
Things don't always go as to plan. You decide that you want to do this, but it doesn't always happen the way you planned for it. We have guests. There are different
mm,
area. There's the guests turning up. There's finding the guests. There's the guests turning up. There is making sure you've got all the technology that you need. It works as it should, and all of that. But me personally, I don't even like looking at it from that lens because I feel it will put people off.
yeah,
Even if it's just a phone, don't think about the challenges for now. Even if it's just a phone that you have and it's just yourself, that's enough to start a podcast. You
yeah.
start there and we grow from there.
Awesome. I love the way you ended it because even I remember even when we came to the podcast class, it was interesting that we came there hoping, we're so excited. I can't remember, I think there's about 6 or 7 of us. We're so excited. We didn't even think of the challenges. But I remember as we progressed, and then we're like, really, do I have that? Do I have this? But at the end, because we were so excited about starting our podcast, we didn't let the challenges stop us. So you are right. If we put the challenges first, they're never going to do anything.
I'm never gonna do anything.
They're never going to do anything. So I know that there are people on here saying, I want to start my own podcast. Do you have anything for people like that?
It's coming. Yes. DM me. No, no, no. Funny enough, I do actually, because I've pulled together something. It's just I haven't advertised it yet.
Yeah,
So if anybody wants to start a podcast, let me know. Get in touch, and I'll pull. I've pulled together a package, a program, but I've just not advertised it yet. So if you're one of those, get in touch. If I get enough people, I'll pull
yeah.
everybody together and then get something.
Because I want to put this out there. Tombra was, like I said, she started me off, but then it's just her teaching skills in class are like, wow.
Thank you.
It was only 1 month. That 1 month, everything stuck. So I know that you're kind of just gifted for for teaching, and even with the
Thank
podcasting
you.
class, you have this knack because you're also doing it as well. I
Mm,
love that you're always able to point out, oh, and I tried this out, it didn't work. I have now. I
mm,
also because you've tried those, so it's not just you coming to teach us theory alone. There are things that
mm,
you have tried, and oh, don't do it that way. There's so many things that you
mm,
were able to point out, which I
mm,
think sometimes we miss that when we go into classes. We're
mm,
just teaching the theory of it. So you're able
mm.
to point out. And another thing that I love that you do is that you have a community. So,
Yes.
oh, and that community
That
is
community,
phenomenal.
yes, has been really, really good. Because you sometimes you want to give up, but when you see
Yeah.
other people doing,
Yes. Yeah. That community has been phenomenal. And also because in that community as well, you get collaborations.
Yeah,
The people
I
that
see
you
a
do
lot
with
of
them.
people cross interviews. I've done so many interviews with
Yeah,
people in the
the
community as
people in
well.
the community. So if you're someone listening, you're someone just wondering, oh, I want to start, or I'm thinking of starting, or I don't really know why, and you have like questions for Tombra, please let us know. Let people know how they can enrich you. Let's go, and
Yes.
I'm gonna put in the show notes as well. But
Please put it in the show notes. I'm on Tonbra.com. That's first page, Tonbra at Tonbra.com. So if you want to email me, Tonbra at Tonbra.com.
very easy.
Very easy. Or you send me, I'm on Instagram as well at Tonbra.Nwosuagwu. So you get the correct spelling in the show notes. Where else can you find me? I'm also on my podcast. So Tonbra.com/podcast. The name of my podcast is called Created for More the Podcast. Um, and yeah, where else can you find me?
Once they even
Instagram.
go on Instagram, your bio, they can find everything in there.
Exactly. Thank you. That's what I was thinking about. I couldn't really,
It's
yeah,
impressive how with Instagram you go into the bio and
yeah,
everything you need about the
yeah.
person
Everything you
is
need about
really
the
in
person is
there.
there.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow, wow, wow. There's so much. She has so much on podcasting. So I want to hear your last words. Let's have your last words on this topic, the power of podcasting. Let me say it this way. What has podcasting done for you as a person, as a podcaster? Let's come from that angle.
Mm. So one of the biggest things that I think podcasting has done for me is it's helped me build a media platform, which is something that everybody needs in this day and age. You can't be sleeping on this. We are all media brands, whether or not we know that. So you're either a media brand without agency, or you're a media brand that has agency based on
Mm,
creating content. It has helped me also widen my network incredibly. The amount of associations, the amount of collaborations that I've had since starting my podcast is just unreal. It has helped me grow my thought leadership in a really, really short space of time. So came on the scene, blah blah blah. But after a while, you're known for one thing. If you're talking
yeah.
about a theme consistently, week in week out, people now know you as the person to go to for that particular thing. So my podcast is all about elevation, mindset, all of that. I'm coming. Oh my God. It's the first time this has happened to me. Anyway, let me just finish and then I'll explain to you. What was I saying?
She'll cut you off, so it's all good. It's all editing.
Huh?
I
I
said
was
it's all
talking about
editing. Okay.
okay, I was talking about how it's helped me grow collaborations. I said collaboration, and build thought leadership.
Yes.
And then the next thing I wanted to say was and then the final benefit I would say is digital footprint. I have a digital footprint now as a result of podcasting. So
Mm,
if you put Tonbra Nwosuagwu in, you'll find all sorts about me that wasn't there before I became a podcaster.
mm,
Everyone needs a digital footprint.
yes.
That's going to be our resume when you come out and you're having conversations. People want to know what you've done, what's your contribution to the world, what has been your impact. And I've started since 2020. So in
Wow.
2025, it will be 5 years of impact.
Wow.
2030, it will be 10 years of impact. So the sooner you start something, the sooner people recognize you as a thought
Mm.
leader in something, the better the more strong your digital currency will be.
That deserves an ovation. Woohoo! I love the way you ended up. Wow. Thank you so much. I want to say a huge thank you. Thank you for starting me off on this journey of podcasting. Thanks for being there for that one can even still come to you and ask questions. Thanks for just starting off a whole community, because what you just said now is so powerful. It's like 5 years, 10 years. We don't look at things that way. So if
Mm-hmm.
once again, if you're here thinking I want to start a podcast, please, I'll leave the details in the show notes. Reach out to Tombra; she'll be able to help you. And until then, we want to say bye to everyone that has joined us. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you, Tombra, for being here. It was such a
Mm,
pleasure.
same here. Thank you so much for having me. And please continue doing what you're doing. The world is being blessed by it. I'm being blessed by it. And I'm just so inspired by your commitment, your consistency, and your dedication. God bless you.
Oh, thank you. And
Thank you.
before I go, I have to say thank you to everyone that has been watching, that has been
Yes,
listening
1 year.
for the last 52 weeks. I want to say, woo! Yes, this is a
Woo!
celebration.
Yeah,
Thank you,
so
everyone.
good.
I
So
really
good.
appreciate every single one of you, week
Mm,
in, week out. Thank you so much for, if you don't watch, if you don't listen, it really won't be a need to do this. So I really, really do appreciate it. From my heart, I say thank you. Thank you, everyone.
that's amazing. Well done. Well done.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye.